Welcome to Wake Up Aligned, the podcast for chiropractors, where we talk about chiropractic, the business of chiropractic lifestyle, and other topics of interest. Wow, well, welcome to the Tom and Shannon show, although I think it should be the Shannon and Tom show, quite honestly, right? You lead with your strengths, Tom.
It was always Tom and Jerry. Tom always comes first.
Yeah, so I'm your host, Dr. Shannon McMurtry, here with Tom Owen, and we're doing a brand new thing. We are new to this show, but we're not new to the show of helping and pouring into chiropractors. So I thought today, for our first one, we could talk about how we got to where we are today and roll that into this is a taste of what's to come, because you and I are aware of a lot of things that are exciting coming down the pipe, and a lot of things that I think our membership, number one, our membership is clamoring for, right? Many of these things they've been asking patiently for years, and then expanding that out to what's needed out in the chiropractic profession, right? Because the chiropractic profession, really more than ever, needs that proven, time-tested, reproducible system that's real, that's authentic, and stop chasing all the other stuff. So we have a lot of ground to cover. This is our first podcast, so we'll see how this goes, but I'm excited about it. I'll share with the listeners how we got here on my side. I was on vacation about 3 weeks ago, and I got a call from Tom sitting across the desk from me, and he said, hey, I've got an idea. What do you think about a morning podcast, a podcast where we can go above and beyond and we can pour into our membership, and, we can talk about good news. We can have legacy moments, talking about principles that my father introduced, and we can talk about, just anything that would be of benefit to chiropractors. And immediately I said, I think this is a great idea. Now I'm a little bit salty saying that because now we've got more work to do, right? And we're already very, very busy people. But I'm behind this 100%. I'm excited for what we're doing. So share the story on your side, if you don't mind, how you got here. What was it that sparked you about this? Were you listening to a podcast, or was this an innate flash for you?
It was certainly innate, but I think this innate's been building a lot longer than just, this idea of a weekly or morning, breakthrough show. This is about connection. This is about just being very authentic and open. Everyone's, inside of AMC, as an AMC member, you've got a lot of direction. You've got a lot of resources for education and teaching. You can attend live events. You can certified training centers. You've got thousands of hours of audio. But I just wanted to connect with the membership on a weekly basis to give them insight, give them direction, and inspire and empower them. But when I say it goes back a lot further on the innate side of it, some of the stuff that I know you're going to want to talk about today, about a lot of the great things that are coming down the pipe. I mean, there's some serious mojo coming, right? But that kind of takes me back to last summer, coming up on a year. I was starting to have people that know me. Right? You got to know me and understand what I mean by innate and what I mean by my quiet time and my morning routines. It's just the way I live. My son's here today and he knows that he doesn't understand it, but Dad's up at 5 a.m. and that's just the way I operate. And in those early morning hours, my innate's always working, right? And that's the way I operate. And I know I couldn't minister and mentor and have the impact more than that, have the impact that I have without morning routine. So last summer, to get to it, is I was really starting to have a vision, glimpses of the fact, AMC has just so outgrown that those old terms of just when you describe what this family is, right?
Right.
You've been around. I
Right.
mean, you came on board in what, 98?
98.
25 years ago
Oh,
almost?
thanks for that, by
Well,
the way.
don't worry. I was your teacher then. So just imagine how old I feel.
I've aged gracefully, by the way.
Not so much. Not so much. But in that time, I mean, what's great is you always have the principles. People and times
Right.
will change, but principles never do. And a systematic approach never fails. When you're doing this niche stuff and this, fly by night stuff, that one hit wonder stuff, that doesn't hold the test of time. A system, you can have, it's hard to believe that pickups now are $80,000, but I have an $80,000 pickup sitting out in the parking lot, right? And all that works together. But if I take the spark plugs out of it, system doesn't work, right? You got to have the whole picture comes together. And that's always been a part of the AMC culture, right? You could always lean and count on that system. But what I was realizing with all these additions, these, what would we call it? These additional resources of support and adjuncts to the practice. And I mean, we just have a litany of resources that nobody else has. And if you try to classify that under management and God forbid consulting, that doesn't do it justice, right?
Absolutely.
So I just started in my head, the AMC really needs to go through a reset process for everyone to really get an understanding of what in the heck we do, because we are really a conglomerate of services and support that's delivered in an authentic way from a position of experience. And these things that you're going to talk about today, we'll expand on that. And everybody's going to be like, yeah, I understand. I see that. But that whole vision started really clicking in me last summer. So I don't think 3 weeks ago, all of a sudden, podcast was an idea that, oh, that's brand new. No, I just recognized that there's more ways to serve, and there was a void.
It's part of the vision that you had moving forward.
Right.
Then,
and that void that I thought was, I've been hearing over and over, just for me personally, right? This is just me talking to you. I've been hearing for months that, as we expand, as we're providing all this content in these services, that people were maybe losing access to me. And they were like, I miss Tom on the front. Well, we had to talk about Vitalio this weekend, or we had to talk about, this advanced procedure over here, or whatever. They were saying, I've been hearing that, not just from the members, I've actually hearing that from the Blue Coats. No matter how hard I am working behind the scenes, and Shannon, how hard I've been working this last year, putting all this together. So I felt like a podcast would be a way that I could connect with each and every doctor as if I could walk through their threshold and sit down with them face to face. What would I want to say to them this week? What would I want to impart that will make a difference in their practice this week? Right? And not 6 weeks from now when you come see me in Atlanta at a boot camp. What can I do to inspire and direct and exact change and move the needle in practices across this country and beyond? And that's where the idea of the podcast came from. And of course, that's why I reached out, because you and I have that chemistry. We've had it for a lot of time. We know that we feed off each other real well.
I was excited by it, by the prospect, because even though I'll deny this if anybody says it and brings it back to you, but I tell other people that I've never seen anybody just as naturally gifted one-on-one as you are, right? Talking to people, pouring into people, setting expectations. There's something very special about how you communicate with people. Like, people sit with you and they begin to believe things are possible, right? And I guess you've always had it. I don't know if you developed it, but it's certainly, I've seen it in practice for 20 plus years. And I was really looking forward to this podcast because that's what people are going to get from you, right? Yeah, we're doing a recorded podcast that's going to go out to hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. I have no idea what this will do or what this will hit. But every person listening gets that one-on-one opportunity with you. So I know we have a lot to cover. I know we're going to talk about what we're excited about moving forward and some changes that are going to be offered and some new programs and new opportunities that's going to help people. But you know who I hope really hears this podcast? I really hope the prodigal sons and daughters of AMC get introduced to this podcast. The people who were great members, people that we still talk about, tell stories about. You're nodding your head. You're thinking of them just as I am. Because we did an exercise about 7 months ago.
Yeah.
Where we listed out all the things that are different now. Now, this is before we take that next step and share all the other stuff that's coming. We're talking about the different things that are on the docket today.
Right.
Compared to just 10 years ago.
No. That was just
5 years ago.
4 years ago, I believe it was.
So it's not been a long amount. What was it? 42 things?
42 different additions, adjuncts or services or materials. 42 different items have been added in the last 3 to 4 years to your AMC membership.
That's incredible.
So people that had these phenomenal experiences 10 years ago, and they think, well, it's a great coaching. I know you don't like that word.
Management.
Right. That's a good system, but I got what I needed. They are missing out, as you know. What's the largest factor inside the AMC?
You're talking about the demographic.
Thank you. The largest demographic of AMC that's moving the needle the farthest
are veteran members.
These practices are growing by an average of $100,000 per year
over year.
What we have over 150 members last year had their largest practice.
Had the best year ever.
In
some major capacity. Mm-hmm. Wasn't necessarily collections, but yes.
And we had pressing nearly 100 people grew by over 100,000.
Right.
I mean, it's just, but when you take that demographic, it's the ones that they're veterans.
Right.
So I totally agree with you. I hope the ears of those that have were members prior to 2018, they don't even realize how this company is just transformed into a juggernaut. It's just a juggernaut, but it never has lost its heart. That's what's so neat about AMC is they're real people. It's still a real family. There's that trust and that authenticity that's there. It's based just the way Dr. Owen wanted it 27 years ago when he and I started this company. It's based in what is loved grows. We love chiropractors. We help chiropractors, and we will never burn a chiropractor. And it's that culture that's there. Now you're just adding all these components on top of that culture. And it's literally something that doesn't exist. Now, I don't say that because I'm the president of AMC. And I'm just saying from experience, I've been around, I've been around my whole life, and I have seen the dark side. I have seen the villains. I have watched them. I'm not going to name them because I'm being recorded.
And we don't want to be sued.
Right. Well, I don't care if what I'm telling is the truth. You can't sue the truth. But the fact is that there's never been anything like it, where there is a culture of support and a culture based in love, that there's no competition, and then on top of it, this, like I keep calling, a conglomerate of services, that there's just nothing like AMC. I've never seen it. I'm not creating it. It's not Tom Owen. It ain't about me anyway. It never has been. It's all about the patients we serve and the doctors. The members come first. It's not about Tom. It's not about Shannon.
We've had 2 guests attend AMC meetings in our first 2 meetings this year. I don't know if you know this or not. I know you know that one said this, but I don't know if you are aware the other said it as well. Both of these people travel in chiropractic circles, right? A lot of different meetings and state associations and blah, 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 blah. And they're both seasoned. We're not talking about people who just started last year. Both of them, after spending a day, a weekend with us, both of them had the same conclusion. This feels like home. I say that's special, right? Now you're kind of switching gears here. You're not going to have a conversation with either of us without hearing an expectation. So would it be fair to set the first expectation on our very first podcast here that if you are an active member in AMC, you're listening to this podcast at whenever that happens to you, maybe you listened to it a year after it was introduced or whatever, and you know a former member that is a great person, great chiropractor, send them this link. You send them this podcast. Let them know that there are 42 things that are available now.
Well, there's more than 42.
Well,
we're going to talk
coming.
about them, but I'll go one step further. Tell them to come to a boot camp on me. Let them come experience this. All they have to do is connect through the amcfamily.com. Go there, connect, say I'm a former member, and I'm taking Tom Owen up on a free weekend. Come see it, because I'm telling you, it's the reason my dad and I started this all this years ago. We're here to help chiropractors, and we're improving day by day by day. It's just getting, AMC is the best.
I agree.
It really is.
That's why I've given a quarter of a century to it, almost a quarter of a century. And I don't see myself slowing down at all. So.
Yeah. So let's get to some of the things that we keep teasing about. What's your favorite of all the different things that are coming over the next several months? And by the way, AMC members, listen up, and hopefully you do listen to this prior to July, because this portion is about FAB. All right, your FAB meeting in July. Members, listen up. You must be at FAB. This is not one that you have a choice to miss. There's 8 boot camps this year, right, Shannon?
There is.
Well, there is one that you can't miss. And not only is it going to be content like you've never seen, it's going to be amazing. We can talk about some of the speakers that'll be there if you'd like. But this is where we embark on the programs that we're about to talk about. So if you want to learn more about it, you're going to have to be at FAB, and first come, first serve. And some of it's going to be limited access. So it's going to be the ones that are there that get to partake in it first. But what's your favorite thing that we want to talk about first?
It's hard to have a favorite, right? Like trying to pick out which one of your kids is your favorite. That's an impossible thing to do. I'll tell you the one that I've been working on most recently. And I think this weekend we're going to go into beta test on. It's specialty coaching. Okay. So I don't really like that word coaching. What we do is much more beyond that. So maybe that's a good reminder for me to start talking about mentoring, specialty mentoring. But we have a lot of offices that they were early adopters when it comes to nutrition, or some of the things that we roll out with the DNA testing and metabolic testing and gut testing, that kind of stuff. They were really interested in it, but they got back to their practice and they weren't really equipped. They didn't have a lot of confidence. They didn't want to become a nutritional expert to be able to talk about these things intelligently. And people are not going to talk about something that they don't feel confident in.
Correct.
So we had a great system, and the people who adopted it and just took off, like, they're doing phenomenally well, right? But there's a big group of people who have that interest, but they're delayed in that application. So we've got a specialty mentor lined up, got all the details ironed out now so that they can have specialty nutrition coaching for that office.
Right. On how to apply it.
Application, marketing, conversation, excuse eliminators. I mean, as exhaustive.
Team implementation.
As exhaustive as the AMC system is, that's the level of polish and refinement that we're going to have with this. Plug and play.
Plug and play.
Exactly. And it's something that we realized we needed, and we just didn't have, there's always that opportunity, but how do you balance manpower and all this other stuff? But some things started happening. God's will is always being done. And now we have that perfect person lined up for that. And I'm very, very excited about that. I think that's going to be a game changer for tens of offices, 20, 50 offices out there.
A lot more than that.
There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I cannot agree with you more on that. That is a huge need being filled.
Tell you what else.
Find a need and fill it.
There you go.
Bigger the need, the bigger the reward. Everybody listen to me on that. All right. Don't forget the Edison system was the last, I'll call it wish, the last objective of Dr. Owens. Don't forget that. The Edison system, the fundamental pieces of nutrition that was in a plug and play manner, that was simple to apply without taking away from the core chiropractic business. That was a big thing for him. So this is built in a way that you can do this without having to have a large inventory, spending a lot of money on the front side, keeping product on your shelf until you sell it. You don't have to do that with Vitalio or the Edison system. And now you're going to have an actual mentor, like a Dr. McMurtry is with all of the clinics he coaches or mentors and directs, or a Dr. Rick Palma or Melissa LeCarey, or just like you have your mentors in the chiropractic side, to have this, and now it's plug and play. Folks, listen to me. Be at Fab and be the first ones up there saying, how do I do that? And of course, AMC's made it very easy for you to get involved with that.
And we're taking that model, and I know it's just getting the details sorted out, going to apply that to brain health with that Zing Performance.
Correct.
There's a possibility of having someone specialty coach on like internet marketing, and so that you are equipped to know the ins and outs of that and not get raked over the coals by the internet marketing salespeople. Mm-hmm. And hopefully, keep your fingers crossed, we'll be able to have some specialty nutrition coaching for the chiropractic assistants as well. Because our vision here is that is them administering this, right?
Correct.
So I'm super stoked about all of those things.
I can assure you the staff side of that, the staff training, we're starting that this weekend here at this boot camp that we're at this weekend. So by the time we roll around to Fab, it'll be at a completely different level. I think that is a great segue into, you just said it. It's all about building up the staff, staff driven. That's a common term. When you talk to our members, you talk to chiropractors abroad, what are you wanting? Well, some people just want more new patients. What you really want, let's be honest, everybody wants to be more successful, but work less.
Sure.
Right? Work more efficiently.
Yeah.
And your next announcement when it comes to the office management development process, that's going to roll out in the coming months, if not by Fab. So that's certainly something that I think you'd want to expand on.
Well, yeah, I definitely want to expand upon it. And This is a real challenging thing when we talked about how busy we are and all the obligations and commitments that we've signed on to. Uh, we are, and when I say we, me and 3 other people are building this program from scratch. And it's an office manager academy, for the lack of a better word. Now, why do we need to do this? We're at a point in our company where we have more people than ever are achieving their level of practice that they can handle, but they can't handle anymore. And they certainly can't handle it by handling all the administrative duties in the clinic. And they're really just not being efficient, right? If we come back to your core, foundational stuff, efficiency, what's the phrase? Efficiency, proficiency, productivity, and then profitability.
Correct.
So that doctor is spending time and effort engaged in activities that are not doctor related, right? Because they don't know how to find, train, motivate, and most importantly, monitor a true, legit office manager, somebody that can really run and handle all those day-to-day administrative duties. That's going to be huge for so many of our members. I talk to people every week who now have access to financial resources they've never had before, and they have interest outside of chiropractic. They want to start other businesses. They want to fund some startups. They have friends or family. I'd be careful about that, but they have friends or family looking to start a business, but they can't manage that business and their chiropractic clinic. So this is going to give them what you were just talking about there, the ability to continue to serve their community up to where they feel fulfilled, but also give them more flexibility, less chasing their tail time in the clinic. I'm very excited about it. It's a pain in the butt to develop. It really is. It's quite taxing, but I think it's going to be huge. Not for everybody, but like I said, we have a lot of offices that are at that level now that were never there before.
Well, if you want to stay green and growing, you can't be ripe and rotting.
That's right.
And you're ripe and rotting if you've gotten to a point to where your micromanagement, having to oversight, all the operational oversight, is taxing you to a point that the practice can't grow anymore, or you can't spread your wings outside the practice. So that's exactly what this program is about.
Exactly right.
Is when you get to that level, you think you've learned everything that you need. You got everything you want, right? There's always a different level. And that component is a big key into moving into macro management rather than micromanagement.
Oh, and by the way, what's the discussion in FAB, Tom?
I believe we'll be talking about macro management versus micromanagement. So
wow.
Isn't that funny how that all came
You're really
together?
good at this.
Sometimes it works. But, as you were talking about, growth outside the practice, we've got so many, we rattled off those stats a while ago about how many hundreds of doctors are growing by leaps and bounds. I mean, the production, the AMCs, we're clicking on cylinders we've never hit before, right? It's just amazing at the level of production we're getting, even in the pandemic year, right? We had record-breaking year.
Absolutely.
Hundreds of doctors that were reaching that levels that they had never touched before. And with that level of production or success comes what we just talked about, the macro versus the micro. The office administration development training is going to be key. But another thing that we're going to bring up that will be announced at FAB, you got to be there.
Hold up. Our production assistant just gave me the finger. No, not that finger. He gave me the one finger, which means we are out of time. Let's make this a part 1 and come back for part 2. We got to keep these things where people can get them onto their drive, right? So let's park it right there. We're going to come back for a part 2 of this podcast. We're going to pick up right there where we left off. Can we do that?
Fair enough.
Hey guys, thanks. This was fun. I'm enjoying the first podcast. I think this is something that we're looking forward to, and I look forward to you joining us from here on out. So stay tuned for part 2 coming. And one more thing before we go. If you're a chiropractor who's searching for a better way to build a more sustainable, low stress practice, then you can contact us at amcfamily.com. You can schedule a discovery session, or you can access any of our free content, webinars, podcasts, and the like.